Shalom,
Shabbat Shalom.
which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. We will not have a choir selection today because Mother Leo is out of town dealing with the burial of her mother. So, brother, would you begin with reading the oracles?
The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua HaMashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as dear children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth, therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you, to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him, and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame, and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right. Today's sermon is entitled The Gates of Zion. Now, and it is written, I will restore your judges as at the first, and your counselors as at the beginning. Afterward, you shall be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. Zion shall be redeemed with judgment, and her converts with righteousness. And the destruction of the transgressors and of the sinners shall be together, and they that forsake Yahweh shall be consumed. Let's begin today's sermon in Zechariah chapter 7, and we're going to read verses 1 through 14. You know, oftentimes we know about the great fall that Israel had that basically placed us in the situation that we are in all over the world. But what we often don't go into is the greatness of Zion when it is redeemed. You have Zion the land, and you have Zion the people. Zion is the city of David. So we have to consider all of these great things that will be put into place. But Yahweh, instead of focusing on all of those great things, what he's focusing on is how you can keep this great thing that he will give to you, that he has already given to us once before. So going into the greatness of Zion every day is not going to do us a whole lot of justice if we don't go into how to keep it. You know, if you get a job and they start going through all of these things and it is your ultimate dream job and you say, man, I've wanted this job forever. This is wonderful. But there was somebody there before you. Your first question ought to be, well, what happened to them? Oh, you got rid of them? Question number 2, what they do? Well, the they is you. And what we did is written right here. So what we need to do to keep this thing on the second go round is already written here in the book. But these are things that we have to go over and know of when we hit those shores. There's some things that we have to pay attention to. In the beginning, he says, I will restore your judges as at the first and your counselors as at the beginning. Afterward, you shall be called the city of righteousness. There are people that already have forgotten that. That's why they're spending all this money to go on trips to Israel. This is why they're doing all of these things. They have forgotten this little bitty piece. Until righteousness is set up, until there are judges that people don't like, by the way, because they're going to execute righteous judgment, and people don't like righteous judgment jumping up in their face. But Yahweh said, I'm going to establish just those sorts of situations. Then you shall be called the city of righteousness. Not just because you are Zion, not just because that place is Zion. There are some things that has to be done in it for it to be called the city of righteousness. So before our people came out of Egypt he gave us a law before we got into the land. He didn't wait until we got into the land and then start trying to explain to us how we're supposed to walk. I think oftentimes we forget what this period is. You're going to walk, you're going to stumble, you're going to fall here. But you better figure it out before we get there. Fall as many times you're going to fall. Fall, get up. It don't matter if your whole side of your body is skint up and you make it to that kingdom. He going to take care of that. You just need to get there. It said a lame man going to leap like a hart. A hart can jump 10 feet flat-footed. So if you got to hop there, hop on. He going to take care of that. You just got to make it there. No matter what, you can't stop walking. No matter what happens. Zechariah chapter 7. And let's start that at verse 1.
And it came to pass in the 4th year of King Darius that the word of Yahweh came unto Zechariah on the 4th day of the 9th month, even in Chislu, when they had sent unto the house of Elohim Sherezer and Regamelech, and their men to pray before Yahweh, and to speak unto the priests which were in the house of Yahweh of hosts, and to the prophets, saying, Should I weep in the 5th month, separating myself, as I have done these so many years?
And what you'll often find with Israel after some horrific events, our people would then ordain fasts. We know that we have fasts in certain parts, but then you have fasts that are ordained for great moments of loss that Israel has encountered. But at the end of the day, you see that those great losses came upon Israel because of things that we had done. So we're fasting because of the loss, but what about the thing that you did that brought the loss? So then we focus more on the wrong thing. Just like you had the people walking around with fringes, they forget the meaning and the purpose of it. It has turned into a Hebrew status statement. And we forget that it's supposed to cause you to remember to keep the commandments. There's a purpose there, not just so you can look dashing. Go ahead.
Zechariah chapter 7 and verse 4.
But you do look dashing. And I said, let me go ahead and take care of that. Go ahead, brother.
Then came the word of Yahweh of hosts unto me, saying, Speak unto all the people of the land, and to the priests, saying, When you fasted and mourned in the 5th and 7th month, even those 70 years, did you at all fast on to me, even to me?
Now there's a question. What was the real purpose of it? Now he let them do it 70 years and still question the purpose. Go ahead.
And when you did eat, and when you did drink, did not you eat for yourselves and drink for yourselves? Should you not hear the words which Yahweh has cried by the former prophets when Jerusalem was inhabited and in prosperity?
See, this is what I keep trying to tell people. Yahweh wants your attention when you got money. We want to talk to Yahweh when we get broke. We want to talk to Yahweh when we get sick. He want to hear from you when you're healthy. Should you not have heard me in your prosperity? But now when he take everything, here we go fasting. Putting on our dirtiest clothes. Doing all of these things to punish ourselves. All you got to do what you were supposed to do the first time. Go ahead.
And the cities thereof round about her, when men inhabited the south and the plain. And the word of Yahweh came unto Zechariah, saying, Thus speaketh Yahweh of hosts, saying, Execute true judgment, and show mercy and compassion every man to his brother.
Why does Yahweh have to remind us to show compassion to one another? He don't have to remind us to do them little tribal pep rallies we be doing. But he sure has to remind us to have compassion one to another. There's something seriously wrong with that. And you're going to find that he's going to say it over and over and over. Execute true judgment. Have compassion on one another. Go ahead.
And oppress not the widow, nor the fatherless, the stranger, nor the poor, and let none of you imagine evil against his brother in your heart.
What has to be wrong and what has to have gotten in your head that Yahweh has to remind you not to oppress a widow? A widow is a woman whose husband has died and she is all alone. And let me tell you something. You learn something about people, especially in the daughter of Babylon. As soon as there's a powerless woman, you'll see all kind of things start taking place. Brother get busy. He tell his wife, just take the car up there to the shop. All they got to do is change the oil. You get back, your wife done had a whole new engine put in there. They saw her coming, they be like, oh man, she ain't got no man with her. Ma'am, what you need is an electronic defibrillator for the transmission. What the hell is that? Where they make those at? They done got her all juiced up. Before you know it, that $39.99 oil change done turned to $4,000 by the time you get home. That brother done went into orbit and shot through the roof. What happened? They saw a prey come to the door. Ain't no protection with her. So we're going to take advantage of her. Yahweh had to remind Israel, don't oppress the widow. What's wrong with you? Don't you see she does not have protection? Go ahead.
Zechariah chapter 7 and verse 11. But they refused to hearken and pulled away the shoulder and stopped their ears that they should not hear.
Now, this is Israel now. He's not talking about somebody else. Now these are the same people talking about Shabbat Shalom. This same people now. He has to remind them not to oppress the widow. Go ahead.
Yes, they made their hearts as an adamant stone, lest they should hear the law and the words which Yahweh of hosts had sent in his spirit by the former prophets. Therefore came a great wrath from Yahweh of hosts.
Now you understand what he's talking about the former prophets. I already talked to you about this stuff. Why am I sending somebody else to talk to you about the same stuff we already talked about? Now you want a prophecy. Go ahead.
Therefore it has come to pass that as he cried and they would not hear, so they cried and I would not hear.
Yahweh said, my turn. My turn. Now you want to talk. You could have talked to me when I had given you all that stuff. Now you want to talk? Go ahead.
Says Yahweh of hosts. But I scattered them with a whirlwind among all the nations whom they knew not. Thus the land was desolate after them, that no man passed through nor returned, for they laid the pleasant land desolate. All
right, let's go to Exodus chapter 22. Exodus 22, and I want to read verses 21 through 31. Because Israel somehow we get selective amnesia when it comes down to certain things. And it's something that we're going to have to remember, and something that not only we're going to have to deal with. It doesn't become other people's responsibility to deal with righteous judgment. What he said was execute judgment. So what we'll do is we'll say, all right, yeah, the judges need to execute judgment. But what if you standing there and you see somebody oppress the fatherless and the widow? Do you just stand there and say that's somebody else's job to deal with it? Exodus chapter 22, and let's start that at verse 21.
You shall neither vex a stranger nor oppress him.
And I've heard Israelites telling us what they were going to do to the stranger. And me and Kiss just start looking at the brother like, bro, what book you read? And this brother out teaching somebody now. Yeah, he a moray somewhere. And you teaching to oppress the stranger? Right. Read, man.
For you were strangers in the land of Egypt.
But we forgot that. See? We forgot that we were strangers. See, selective amnesia helps you do other things to other people because you do not consider yourself and the things that you've gone through, because that's past. I ain't got to worry about that. That's past stuff. I mean, yeah, I shot at some people, you know what I'm saying, but that was a long time ago. Okay. Go ahead.
You shall not afflict any widow nor fatherless child. If you afflict them in any wise.
So now he gives you the punishment for doing such things. So when you had already heard from the prophet didn't go through all of the things because you were supposed to already know. He said, do not afflict the widow. What does it say in the beginning? You're supposed to already know that part. Finish up.
If you afflict them in any wise, and they cry at all unto me, I will surely hear their cry, and my wrath shall wax hot, and I will kill you with the sword, and your wives shall be widows, and your children fatherless.
Right. This is what I'm going to do to you for doing that to her. The prophet didn't need to say all that, because he said you're supposed to know it. This was what you was given in the beginning. You call yourself Israel. Un-Israel instructed out of the law. So I got to remind you of everything. Once I say, do not afflict the widow or the fatherless child, you're supposed to already know. Okay, where that's at? I need to go. And if I ain't quite sure, I need to go look that up. I need to go figure out what are all the parameters of that to make sure I'm not doing that. Go ahead.
If you lend money to any of my people that is poor by you, you shall not be to him as an interest, neither shall you lay upon him interest. If you at all take your neighbor's raiment to pledge, you shall deliver it unto him by that the sun goes down. For that is his covering only. It is his raiment for his skin. Wherein shall he sleep? And it shall come to pass, when he cries unto me, that I will hear, for I am gracious. You shall not revile the gods, nor curse the ruler of your people. You shall not delay to offer the first of your ripe fruits, and of your liquors. The firstborn of your sons shall you give unto me. Likewise shall you do with your oxen and with your sheep. 7 days it shall be with his dam. On the 8th day you shall give it me.
The same point at what the circumcision is supposed to be done. On the 8th day, Yahweh has order. We must understand that order before we enter back into his land. What you think, feel, and believe about Yahweh's law don't mean nothing to him. You either going to get cut off with the rest of the rebels, or you're going to fix whatever that is and go into that land. But if we don't get it together, we're not going in. Go ahead.
And you shall be holy men unto me. Neither shall you eat any flesh that is torn of beasts in the field. You shall cast it to the dogs.
And you shall be holy men unto me. How? Because you have followed these instructions that were given unto you. Not because you were born out of one of the tribes of Israel. That ain't what's going to make you holy. Let's go to Zechariah chapter 8. Zechariah chapter 8, and we're going to start that at verse 1.
Verse 1. Again the word of Yahweh of hosts came to me, saying, Thus says Yahweh of hosts, I was jealous for Zion with great jealousy, and I was jealous for her with great fury.
Right. The love that Yahweh has for Israel is just not measurable. And it's hard for people to see that as Yahweh disciplines those whom he loves. It's hard for us to see that love when we are being disciplined. But he says, I have great jealousy and I will deal with great fury. Yahweh will allow some other nations to deal with Israel and then deal with the nations that he allowed to deal with Israel. That's how much he loved Israel. That Yahweh will step aside. She don't know how to act. Going on in there. Didn't have to get dug. What you going there for? But you let me go in there. Did you just touch my holy people? Yeah, but you let me. Right. We have to remember that. Because other baptized individuals are also Yahweh's people. Are we careful how we treat and deal with those people? Because you know, you're not the only apple of Yahweh's eye. Go ahead.
Thus says Yahweh, I am returned unto Zion, and will dwell in the midst of Jerusalem. And Jerusalem shall be called a city of truth, and the mountain of Yahweh of hosts, the holy mountain. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, there shall yet old men and old women dwell in the streets of Jerusalem, and every man with his staff in his hand for very age.
For very age, being very old. We would see somebody at 100 years old and we say, oh my God, they have lived such a full life. When you read this book, Methuselah was what, 969? 100 is a child. That's what the book say. A person that dies at 100 would be considered a child. So what's wrong with you? What you die at 100 for? You had barely got into puberty. Did you even get any little hairs yet? You ain't but 100. What's wrong with you? Go ahead.
And the streets of the city shall be full of boys and girls playing in the streets thereof.
And you know that's going to be the kingdom because boys and girls going to come outside now. You know we're going to have to be in the kingdom for boys and girls come outside. Because they really, no, I'd rather play with this PlayStation, mama. I don't even want to go out there. It's hot. I sweateth. Go ahead, bro.
Thus says Yahweh of hosts, if it be marvelous in the eyes of the remnant of this people in these days, should it also be marvelous in mine eyes? Saith Yahweh of hosts. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, behold, I will save my people from the east country and from the west country, and I'll bring them, and they shall dwell in the midst of Jerusalem. And they shall be my people, and I'll be their Elohim.
Right. So over and over, Yahweh explains to Israel what their salvation is. We have allowed people to tell us that our salvation was dying and going to heaven. Go ahead.
In truth and in righteousness. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, let your hands be strong. You that hear in these days these words by the mouth of my prophets, which were in the day that the foundation of the house of Yahweh of hosts was laid, that the temple might be built. For before these days there was no hire for man, nor any hire for beast, neither was there any peace to him that went out or came in because of the affliction. For I set all men, every one against his neighbor. But now I will not be unto the residue of this people as in the former days, says Yahweh of hosts. For the seed shall be prosperous, the vine shall give her fruit, and the ground shall give her increase, and the heavens shall give their dew, and I'll cause the remnant of this people to possess all these things.
Do we consider that it is a judgment of Yahweh when the rain does not come and the crops don't grow? We don't even consider that that is a part of the blessing. So you'll be in one part of this country and there's a drought. On the other part of the country, it's flooding. And they're having more and more problems getting any increase out of the land because one, all the water that they got over here on this side, they need the water over there. All the sun that they got on this side, they need over there on that side. So now the crops are damaged on both sides. So because they go all about in the world taking everybody's stuff, Yahweh take more of their stuff and they need more of somebody else's stuff. So the more stuff they take, the more stuff they need. It is a horrible, endless cycle. Go ahead.
Verse 13. And it shall come to pass that as you were a curse among the heathen, O house of Yehuda and house of Israel, so will I save you, and you shall be a blessing. Fear not, but let your hands be strong. For thus says Yahweh of hosts, as I thought to punish you, when your fathers provoked me to wrath, says Yahweh of hosts, and I repented not, so again have I thought in these days to do well unto Jerusalem and to the house of Yehuda. Fear you not. These are the things that you shall do. Speak you every man the truth to his neighbor. Execute the judgment of truth and peace in your gates. And let none of you imagine evil in your hearts against his neighbor. And love no false oath. For all these are things that I hate, says Yahweh.
Right. In the midst of everybody talking about how much God is love, they forget to deal with the part of what he hates. So it's hard when all you hear is love, 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 that this loving entity hates something. He hates this kind of behavior. But nobody wants to discuss that. So what's happening is they're being set up for a very, very tumultuous situation. Because all you've been told is love, love, love. And when you get close to the power of Yahweh and find out that he has hated some of the things that we have done, oh, it's going to be an awful interaction. Go ahead.
And the word of Yahweh of hosts came unto me, saying, Thus says Yahweh of hosts, the fast of the 4th month, and the fast of the 5th month, and the fast of the 7th, and the fast of the 10th, shall be to the house of Yehuda joy and gladness, and cheerful feast. Therefore love the truth and peace.
In other words, all those things that you were mourning about, we're gonna party. None of those are gonna mean anything. All those fasts that you have ordained for all of the various losses that Israel has had. If we keep all of the things, we'll have a fast every other day. You know how many losses we've suffered through the history of time? But the part we ought to be fasting about is what we did before the loss. That's what caused the loss. We're fasting for the wrong things. Go ahead.
Thus says Yahweh of hosts, it shall yet come to pass that there shall come people and the inhabitants of many cities, and the inhabitants of one city shall go to another, saying, Let us go speedily to pray before Yahweh, and to seek Yahweh of hosts. I will go also. Yes, many people and strong nations shall come to seek Yahweh of hosts in Jerusalem, and to pray before Yahweh. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, in those days it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold out of all languages of the nations, even shall take hold of the skirt of him that is a Yehudi, saying, We will go with you, for we have heard that Elohim is with you.
Now, that is going to be a great and marvelous turnaround, as we have then dealt with all of the things that the nations have done unto us, for all of the world to say, we will go with you, for we have heard that Elohim is with you. In every city and every state and all these places, you have, every time our people perform some kind of unlawful deed, we are placed on the television. And then they zoom in on the screen. So even if the dude is 2 feet tall, he looks 7'4". So that all the nations will feel threatened by us. Now, you got to understand who owned the media network. It is the people whom they call the Jews, the Jewish. So they have an agenda to make sure that we look a certain way all over the earth. Why do you think it's going to be such a big to-do when the people like, so you Israel? Well, we going with you then. That is going to be a great and marvelous thing when Yahweh turns that thing around. Go ahead.
You know, you're talking about them controlling the media. What was the article that recently went out that they've got a militia that's going up north to confront black leaders about what's going on? But they putting this out in the open. When you hear anything about a black militia going to confront anybody, man, they would put us down.
Exactly. I mean, put us down like it. Well, what did they say in that? One of the things, if you remember the Malcolm X movie, it was the policeman that said, "That is too much power for one man to have." They made sure they got rid of Malcolm. They made sure. And Malcolm's problem was he was actually growing intellectually, and he was actually coming off of that. Wait a minute, man, this stuff y'all telling me about white people, hey, man, I just, worship in Mecca with a blue-eyed, pale-skinned man, and y'all told me that they was this. Wait a minute, Malcolm started changing. They said, "Oh, no, he got to die now. He got to hurry up and die now, because wait a minute, that's revolutionary." That was the revolutionary part. See, we thought the revolutionary part was that they believed in by any means necessary, and that they were going to protect themselves and carry their weapons and do. We thought that was the revolutionary part. That was not the revolutionary part. The revolutionary part is that he was getting out of the racism that Islam had taught him, that Elijah Muhammad had taught him. Let me clear that up. Oh, no, they like, oh, no, he got to go. He's got to go now. He is going to unite way more people if we leave him alone. Leave Elijah Muhammad. Leave Pharaoh the Khan. Yeah, what about him? He don't do what he do. But this guy got to go. This is true revolutionary stuff here, because he's going to bring different types of people together. He got to go. We don't even know what the real revolutionary thing was about. Go ahead, brother. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 31. And what has been 2 little incidents back to back, and now they got a militia. They're incidents that they set up. I told you, when you see the one man, you can tell he looked like he's on medication and he ain't took the medication. His whole, people had already said, no, the brother had some mental issues. Yet they want to go confront black leaders. So now black leaders are in control of who don't take their medication. Hell, I got family that won't take medication. How the hell am I in control of that? Yeah, they know what they're doing. Remember, when the civil rights movement came, go back and do the research and find all those Jewish people that were marching with our people to desegregate. Meanwhile, they all stayed together and owned and controlled everything in their neighborhood. But they convinced us to leave our neighborhood and leave everything we own. We fell for the okie doke. You go in everybody else's neighborhood, they own everything in it. Go to the Ethiopian neighborhood, they own everything in it. Go to the Asian neighborhood, they own everything in it. Go to a black neighborhood, we in it. Read, man.
Jeremiah chapter 31 and verse 1. At the same time, says Yahweh, will I be the Elohim of all the families of Israel, and they shall be my people. Thus says Yahweh, the people which were left of the sword found grace in the wilderness, even Israel, when I went to cause him to rest. Yahweh has appeared of old unto me, saying, Yea, I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore, with loving kindness have I drawn you.
Right. I have loved you with everlasting love, which means that I desire for right things to proceed from you. So it's love that I chasten you. I don't chasten you out of hatred and disrespect. I chasten you because I love you. I say these things to you because I love you, not that I don't love you. And it is the exact opposite of what we think. When we are being pushed toward righteousness, we then believe, you don't love me at all, do you? I remember asking my elder that one time, do you even like me, man? Why are you always on me? He said, because I love you. And I see potential and you can be even better than what you are. But you ain't going to do that just haphazardly dealing with things. It didn't seem like love at the time. I understood it later. Go ahead, bro.
Again I will build you, and you shall be built, O virgin of Israel. You shall again be adorned with your tabrets, and shall go forth in dances of them that make merry. You shall yet plant vines upon the mountains of Samaria. The planters shall plant, and shall eat them as common things. For there shall be a day that the watchmen upon the Mount Ephraim shall cry, Arise you, and let us go up to Zion unto Yahweh our Elohim. For thus says Yahweh, Sing with gladness for Jacob, and shout among the chief of the nations. Publish you, praise you, and say, O Yahweh, save your people, the remnant of Israel.
Save your people, the remnant of Israel. Not all Israel. All Israel shall be saved, but they are not all Israel which are of Israel. Go ahead.
Behold, I will bring them from the north country, and gather them from the coast of the earth, and with them the blind and the lame, the woman with child, and her that travails with child together. A great company shall return thither. They shall come with weeping, and with supplications will I lead them. I will cause them to walk by the rivers of waters in a straight way, wherein they shall not stumble. For I am a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. Hear the word of Yahweh, O you nations, and declare it in the isles afar off, and say, He that scattered Israel will gather him, and keep him as a shepherd does his flock.
He that scattered Israel will gather him. When we talk about how these other people got all over the world, they scattered themselves. True Israel was scattered because of a forced action. All of these people want to do all of the DNA research and all of these things. When they start doing our stuff and they start ending up in the so-called Middle East, they don't know what to tell you. They'll purposely do some of our stuff wrong and go by the mother. There's something wrong with that DNA right there already. Somebody should have told you that before you even went in the office. That DNA gonna be limited right there. Is all you got is the mama stuff? The seed come from the father. You go ahead and stop right now. Go ahead.
For Yahweh has redeemed Jacob, and ransomed him from the hand of him that was stronger than he. Therefore they shall come and sing in the height of Zion, and shall flow together to the goodness of Yahweh, for wheat, and for wine, and for oil, and for the young of the flock, and of the herd. And their soul shall be as a watered garden, and they shall not sorrow any more at all. Then shall the virgin rejoice in the dance, both young men and old together, for I'll turn their mourning into joy, and will comfort them, and make them rejoice from their sorrow.
Right. Other people not going through sorrow like the children of Israel are. But you know, the blessing of Yahweh is obviously there because there are hardships that our people go through, but they don't consume us. We can have some of the heaviest weight on us. And yeah, we complain, we run our mouth, but we get right back up and go and do what we got to do. Man, that happened to other people and you just see them jumping on the building. Boom! What's happening, man? It is raining strange people. Look at it, just jumping on the building. That stuff don't make us kill ourselves. We be sitting there like, man, we messed up. And we shake it off. We go, hey, all right, I got to go. Because I ain't finna kill me. If anything, I'm going to kill me one of them. Ain't nobody killing me. No. So even with all that weight, the blessing of Yahweh is still apparent if you look. Because no matter of weight consumes you. You have strength that you have no idea about. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 14. And I will saturate the soul of the priest with fatness, and my people shall be satisfied with my goodness, says Yahweh. Thus says Yahweh, a voice was heard in Ramah, lamentation and bitter weeping. Rachel weeping for her children refused to be comforted for her children, because they were not. Thus says Yahweh, refrain your voice from weeping, and your eyes from tears, for your work shall be rewarded, says Yahweh, and they shall come again from the land of the enemy.
Right. Anybody that causes you or attempts to even set up a foundation that causes you to go against Yahweh's righteous law and his word, that is a land of enemies. I don't care how nice they are to you. I don't care how much they smile at you. If they encourage you to go against Yahweh's word, they are your enemies. Yahweh's word says, remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Some of them beautiful enemies going to try to get you to come hang out. Come on, man. Come on now. Come on now. Don't you hear that? Look at that. You make me move already. Look at that. Come on now. Come on, don't you feel it? I know you feel it. Come on now. Right. That's your enemy. And boy, Lucifer know how to put some darn good looking enemies in your path. Yes, he does. Go ahead, brother. We ain't gonna say that. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead. I'm gonna say that. Huh? That's a whole nother sermon right there. That's a whole nother sermon right there.
And there's hope in your end, says Yahweh, that your children shall come again to their own border. I have surely heard Ephraim bemoaning himself thus, you have chastised me, and I was chastised, as a bullock unaccustomed to the yoke. Turn you me, and I shall be turned, for you are Yahweh my Elohim. Surely after that I was turned, I repented.
Does that happen to us? When we hear something, see, this is the stubbornness of Israel. When we hear something, we know that Yahweh has delivered a little birdie somewhere to drop some knowledge there. When we hear it, do we turn when Yahweh brings it to us? Or are we still stiff-necked and rebellious and we're going to maintain our cause and our path? He said, when I turn, I repented. Go ahead, bro.
And after that I was instructed, I smote upon my thigh. I was ashamed, yes, even confounded, because I did bear the reproach of my youth. Is Ephraim my dear son? Is he a pleasant child? For since I spake against him, I do earnestly remember him still.
Just because Yahweh spake against you does not mean that there's not love there for you. He wants to chasten his child to make the child better, not to destroy you. But what happens is every time something is spoken against us, we climb up and close up. And now you can't be reached. Go ahead.
Therefore my bowels are troubled for him. I will surely have mercy upon him, says Yahweh. Set you up waymarks, make you high heaps. Set your heart toward the highway, even the way which you went this. Turn again, O virgin of Israel, turn again to these your cities. How long will you go about, O you backsliding daughter? For Yahweh has created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Israel. As yet they shall use this speech in the land of Yehuda and in the cities thereof, when I shall bring again their captivity. Yahweh bless you, O habitation of justice and mountain of holiness. And there shall dwell in Yehuda itself, and in all cities thereof together, husbandmen and they that go forth with flocks.
And there shall dwell in Yehuda itself. You got to understand what he's talking about. No. The people who land it is are the ones that's really going to dwell there. See, we got a whole bunch of people walking around saying that they are Jews. Then we can go read into the New Testament. He says, I know the synagogue of Satan of those which say that they are Jews and are not. See, it's not possible for everybody in Israel to be a Jew. That only refers to 3 tribes. That's the house of Judah. You got one tribe of Yehuda, but then you had that southern kingdom. Benjamin, Yehuda, and Levi. Those are the only ones that can turn around and say that they were Jews. Yet, you got a whole country of people walking around. This is how you get people to say stuff like, the 12 tribes of Judah. So that's how you hear something stupid like that, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But at some point, you got to figure out how you're going to formulate that lie for everybody to be the same thing. Go ahead.
Jeremiah chapter 31 and verse 25. For I have satiated the weary soul, and I have replenished every sorrowful soul. Upon this I await, and beheld, and my sleep was sweet unto me. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will sow the house of Israel and the house of Yehuda with the seed of man and with the seed of beast.
Right, and even in that, because they were two divided kingdoms, a northern kingdom and a southern kingdom, you hear them mentioned separately. So consider that. The house of Israel and the house of Yehuda. Yet all you hear today is Yehuda. So who is Israel then? How are y'all Yehuda? And we never confront these people while they, putting together militias and talking about anti-Semitism. We so busy answering questions, we didn't ask any. And the leaders that they going to, they dumb as a box of rocks. So they're not going to ask no question. Okay? And even the ones that know, they getting so much money, they're not finna come outside of that. They finna go meet with a bunch of people, throw a few dollars, and they going to agree to whatever they ask them. And sell every last one of us down the river. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass that like as I have watched over them to pluck up and to break down and to throw down and to destroy and to afflict, so will I watch over them to build and to plant, says Yahweh.
I keep telling people the last thing you want is Yahweh's undivided attention. I don't want him looking at me like that. That's too much power to be like focused like on me, like nothing else. Look at somebody else, kiss over there. You know what I'm saying? Look, glance at me like every now and then. Okay, there goes something. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, there goes. You know what I'm saying? Every now and then. You know what I'm saying? Just make sure, oh brother, all right. You know what I'm saying? But don't just be looking at what is he doing now. Now that's too much attention. I don't need that kind of attention because I'm gonna do something stupid sooner or later. So I don't want his entire attention. Getting Yahweh's entire attention is not going to be good for you. I don't know what people done told you. That ain't the kind of power that you want staring at you. Go ahead, bro.
In those days they shall say no more, the fathers have eaten a sour grape, and the children's teeth are set on edge. But every one shall die for his own lawlessness. Every man that eats the sour grape, his teeth shall be set on edge. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Yehuda. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt.
Now, verse 31, behold, the days come, says Yahweh, and we can find the same thing in Hebrews, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel. And it still says the same thing in Hebrews, that I will. So it lets you know that it is future. People walking around talking about they under the new covenant. New covenant hadn't even been made yet. And then he tells you who's the new covenant, who is going to be made with. And he doesn't say just one thing, with the house of Israel and with the house of Yehuda. Yet we got people that said that they just Jews in the land. All right, then, well, we got a whole nother house that covenant is supposed to be made with if that's all you. See, our problem is we don't know enough to ask the right questions. That's why we let somebody else talk. See, I didn't believe it back then, but my elders said, you should go and talk to them. They don't know nothing. I said, no, man, they walk around with fringes on and they got them little small caps. They know a whole lot of stuff, man, and they speak the language. You know, I don't speak the language. He said, boy, go talk to him. They don't know nothing. Lo and behold, they don't know nothing. He's right. But if they got you shook, you don't even take a step. When they keep talking, you don't talk back. You let somebody give you low self-esteem about your culture because they speak a language because they done position themselves in a place, which is the language of this time. That don't mean nothing to Yahweh. He said, I spread you to the four corners of the globe. What the language you speak mean to me? That don't mean jack to me. If somebody kidnapped your kid and they was 4 years old and you found out where your kid was and they was 8, but your kid speaks Russian because of where he ended up, is he still not your child? Or you gonna now not go get him? No, I'm finna learn some Afik and I'm going to get my baby. You understand me? Believe that. Read, brother.
Which my covenant they break, although I was an husband unto them, says Yahweh. Verse 33. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, says Yahweh, I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their heart.
Right. But are we going to have an open heart to be able to receive Yahweh's law? See, what we want to do is we want to maintain who we are and how we are, and then we want Yahweh to get a hammer and a chisel and just chisel that law in our heart. Well, it was made out of stone the first time, so I'm just going to let him just jackhammer this inside my heart. No, you're going to do something with that heart so that he can get that in there. Go ahead.
And will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know Yahweh, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, says Yahweh. For I will forgive their lawlessness, and I will remember their sin no more. Thus says Yahweh, which gives the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which devised the sea when the waves thereof roar. Yahweh of hosts is his name. If those ordinances depart from before me, says Yahweh, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever.
They cannot destroy you no matter what they try to do. They cannot remove you from Yahweh's good graces no matter what happens. They can plan whatever they want to plan. They can get together. They can have as many unions they can get together. They can get other countries together. It ain't gonna work. Yahweh will not allow Israel to be removed. See, this country here is in a strange place already with Israel. On one end, it looks like they completely hate us. But then you have to look at how much money they make from us. Man, they stuck with us. We generate enough money to run a whole country by ourselves outside of this country. There's this whole thing of, you know, they hate this people, but this economy is non-existent without us. But we don't know that. Our forefathers knew it. When they decided, you know what? We just ain't gonna ride the bus. You know how many brothers they had to fight? You crazy, they ain't finna walk. Man, this ain't about walking or nothing. It's about commerce. You stop their money, you change their laws. No, you crazy. What happened? First, they act like it wasn't dealing with them at all. Ain't studying them fools. Them black fools gonna walk. Let them fools walk. Every month. Did you see the bank statement? When you start getting a grown man start hugging himself. Okay, man, we got to let them ride wherever the hell they want to ride because we need this money back. All right, man, come on. Get on the bus. Wherever you want to sit. Damn. Right. That money kept getting shorter and shorter and shorter. Now, how is it that these people knew that But we are way more educated than our forefathers. We're walking around with all kind of letters behind our name. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, you know what I'm saying? L, M, N, O, Q, P, R, S, T. We got all kind of letters behind our name. How is it that we don't know that? But they knew it. Right. That was what desegregation was going to take away. That's why our so-called Jewish friends was rooting for it. Said, no. When we spread them out, we're going to also divide their power. Everybody knew it except us. Go ahead, bro.
Thus says Yahweh, if heaven above can be measured, and the foundations of the earth stretched out beneath, I will also cast off all the seed of Israel for all that they have done, says Yahweh. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that the city shall be built to Yahweh, from the tower of Hananeel unto the gate of the corner. And the measuring line shall yet go forth over against it upon the hill of Gareb, and shall compass about to Goath. And the whole valley of the dead bodies, and of the ashes, and all the fields unto the brook of Kidron, unto the corner of the horse gate toward the east, shall be holy unto Yahweh. It shall not be plucked up, nor thrown down any more forever.
So then we see that there are some changes that are going to happen for this thing to be set forth in righteousness. Let's go to chapter 33 of Jeremiah, and let's start that at verse 1.
Verse 1. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto Jeremiah the second time, while he was yet shut up in the court of the prison.
Right.
Saying,
Now, could we do our works if we were in a uncomfortable position? You know, a lot of times we look for reasons not to do things. You know, I was not going to push for any graphics to be done. But Leia wasn't in this city with us. She in Louisiana. Y'all see these graphics, right? She did these graphics from where she was. That'll be our excuse. Oh no, I'm gonna be out of town. No, I'm not gonna be able to do nothing. No, I'm gonna be on the beach. No. Right. We full excuses why we can't do things. And hey, she had the ultimate one. Hey, my mother just passed. I wasn't finna say nothing. Didn't even cross her mind not to do it. Didn't even cross her mind. Couldn't do the choir because she couldn't be in Louisiana and be here at the same time. Now she figured that out. Well, hey. We're going to have a different conversation then. But when we start talking about a remnant, you have to consider what kind of things Yahweh look for in a remnant. Do we look for excuses not to be obedient unto Yahweh? Then you see why Yahweh start putting certain individuals together. He said, you know what? This right here is going to be prosperous. Because I see the mindset of these individuals. Read, man.
Thus says Yahweh, the maker thereof, Yahweh that formed it, to establish it. Yahweh is his name. Call unto me, and I will answer you, and show you great and mighty things, which you knoweth not. For thus says Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, concerning the houses of this city, and concerning the houses of the kings of Yehuda, which are thrown down by the mounts and by the sword. They come to fight with the Chaldeans, but it is to fill them with the dead bodies of men, whom I have slain in mine anger and in my fury, and for all whose wickedness I have hid my face from this city.
Right. Wickedness causes Yahweh to hide his face from the city. No matter how much we cry and plead and beg, the wickedness stops Yahweh from entering into it. So then when it comes down to setting forth righteousness, somebody's going to have to inconvenience themselves and get the wickedness out the city. Y'all know that Tel Aviv has like the biggest gay pride thing in the world?
Mm-hmm.
I said the world. They light up the whole city with the fake colors. Now, the colors of Yahweh's covenant has been turned into their gay flag. Now, and let me tell you how strange that is. We talking about the holy place. And now the colors of the gay flag means that instead of the covenant of Yahweh. And when you get right down to it, what it all boils down to is people want to be able to do what things is done inside a covenant, but they want to do it outside of a covenant. That's the bottom line of what almost every last part of it is. This is why Yahweh give his law. But we're going to find a loophole and go around it. And you're going to find out that he's going to put a loop in your hole. Read, bro.
Behold, I'll bring it health and cure, and I'll cure them, and will reveal unto them the abundance of peace and truth. And I'll cause the captivity of Yehuda and the captivity of Israel to return, and will build them as at the first. And I'll cleanse them from all their lawlessness, whereby they have sinned against me, and I'll pardon all their lawlessness, whereby they have sinned, and whereby they have transgressed against me. And it shall be to me a name of joy, a praise and an honor before all the nations of the earth, which shall hear all the good that I do unto them. And they shall fear and tremble for all the goodness and for all the prosperity that I have procured unto it. Thus says Yahweh, again there shall be heard in this place, which you say shall be desolate without man and without beast, even the cities of Yehuda, and in the streets of Jerusalem, that are desolate, without man and without inhabitant, and without beast, the voice of joy, and the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom, and the voice of the bride, the voice of them that shall say, Hallelujah. For Yahweh is good, for his mercy endures forever, and of them that shall bring the sacrifice of praise into the house of Yahweh, for I'll cause to return the captivity of the land as at the first, says Yahweh.
When he calls the captivity to return, he's causing that captivity to cease. See, it's hard for us to understand that the land is in captivity right now. It's in captivity under some different people. You have to get into 2 Kings 17 and find out that the people who got in the land, all they had to do was do some things to follow Yahweh, but Yahweh still allowed them to worship their other gods. This is why they can set up one thing and still have foulness in the land. We tried it, he threw us out. He said the covenant was given to you. You don't get that opportunity. So as a part of your punishment, I'm going to let these people do what I wouldn't let you do. That's a part of the punishment. You got to sit there and look at your land and look at what's being done in it. Maybe you'll get the thought, man, I can do better than this. You ask anybody who started their own business, all of them got to the same place. They were working for somebody, looking around like, man, what are you doing? They learned a few things, say, you know what? I can do this better than that. And end up starting their own business. And every person that I talked to who started their own business, that is how they started. They were working for somebody else and looking how haphazardly they were doing it. So at some point we should be looking and say, man, we can serve Yahweh better than this. What y'all doing? Y'all gonna let them do that right there? That's what you're supposed to be thinking. Because you can serve better than that. And you shall. Go ahead, bro.
Jeremiah chapter 33 and verse 12. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, again in this place, which is desolate without man and without beast, and all the cities thereof shall be an habitation of shepherds causing their flocks to lie down. In the cities of the mountains, in the cities of the valley, in the cities of the south, and in the land of Benjamin, in the places about Jerusalem, and in the cities of Yehuda, shall the flocks pass again under the hands of him that telleth them, says Yahweh. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will perform that good thing which I have promised unto the house of Israel and to the house of Yehuda. In those days and at that time will I cause the branch of righteousness to grow up unto David, and he shall execute judgment and righteousness in the land.
Right. And have we considered that Yahshua is coming to execute judgment and righteousness. See, we've heard of all of these things. This is why those disciples asked, have you come at this time to restore the kingdom unto Israel? He says, not for you to know the times and the seasons which the Father has reserved unto himself. But they were ready for judgment and righteousness to be executed. It wasn't that time. So now you have all our people walking around talking about love, peace, and joy. And they don't understand he coming with angelic war equipment. We ain't even never seen none of these guns. Hey, man, what he got right there? What that do? Is that a pen or a bazooka? What is that? I don't know what that is. Right. We getting ready for the wrong thing. He coming for war, and we trying to learn new love songs. For real? What part of sun turning black as a sackcloth of hair and the moon turning blood red sounds like a love song to you? Read, bro.
In those days shall Yehudah be saved, and Jerusalem shall dwell safely. And this is the name wherewith she shall be called, Yahweh our righteousness. For thus says Yahweh, that we shall never want a man to sit upon the throne of the house of Israel. Neither shall the priests, the Levites, want a man before me to offer burnt offerings, and to kindle meat offerings, and to do sacrifice continually.
Right. So he's going to set up a righteous kingship and a righteous priesthood. Go ahead.
And the word of Yahweh came unto Jeremiah, saying, Thus says Yahweh, if you can break my covenant of the day and my covenant of the night, and that there should not be day and night in their season, then may also my covenant be broken with Dawid my servant, that he should not have a son to reign upon his throne, and with the Levites, the priests, my ministers.
This is why Yahshua was called the son of David. It had nothing to do with any of the other stuff. People didn't really consider what he was doing. He had to use the seed of Dawid to bring forth the body that the spirit of Israel would dwell in. That means that he could be a king here on earth through the lineage of Dawid, because all kings are called the son of Dawid. And we'll read the thing, King of Kings, Adonai of Adonais, and not understand what they're talking about. A king rules in power. Kings go to war. If he's called the son of Dawid, you have to understand what Dawid did. Dawid could not build the temple because he had shed so much blood. He set up Israel. And for that, he shall never lose his reward. He warred constantly. War. And Yahweh gave him everything so he could be comfortable. Because he had to fight this group, fight that group, fight over here. That's why Yahweh was like, here, you want this? That's why he was so mad at him about the situation about taking Uriah's wife. He said, man, I would have gave you anything. I want to make sure you comfortable. Because all he dealt with turmoil constantly. But with all that blood being shed, you can't build a house. There is too much blood on your hands. Even though it's blood that I sent you to deal with. But I'm honored that you would try. So then I'm going to make this covenant for between me and you forever. But you still not going to build a house. But my covenant is going to be with you forever because you just want it to. Go ahead.
As the host of heaven cannot be numbered, neither the sand of the sea measured, so will I multiply the seed of Dawid my servant, and the Levites that minister unto me. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came to Jeremiah, saying, Considereth you not what this people have spoken, saying, the two families which Yahweh hath chosen.
The two families. See, go over there and say that in the land of Israel and see what kind of pushback you get. When someone look, don't look for them lost tribes. We don't want to hear nothing about no lost tribes. They lost forever. Right. Go ahead.
He has even cast them off. Thus they have despised my people, that they should be no more a nation before them.
Right. And they show that they despise true Israel. We don't want to find no lost tribes. What kind of person don't want to find? If you say the whole joy is about being Israel, why would you not want to find who Israel is? Because we don't want to be uprooted and have our power divided. Because then when we find true Israel, we're going to find out that I'm not it. Right. Go ahead.
Thus says Yahweh, if my covenant be not with day and night, and if it have not appointed the ordinances of heaven and earth, then will I cast away the seed of Jacob, and thou eat my servant, so that I will not take any of his seed to be rulers over the seed of Abraham, Esaac, and Jacob. For I will cause their captivity to return, and have mercy on them.
This is the great thing that Yahweh has planned for the children of Israel, that he's going to have great mercy on the children of Israel, and there's nothing anybody else can do about it. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 11. You know that little thing they used to say on Sunday morning? Tell your neighbor I love you and ain't nothing you can do about it. And we thought that was so cute. It's so cute. I tell them Yahweh love me and it ain't nothing you can do about it. That's cuter. Isaiah chapter 11, and let's start that at verse 1.
And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots.
Right. So now he's establishing this branch where he is going to make sure righteousness follows this line forever. All kings will be descendant from David. Go ahead.
And the spirit of Yahweh shall rest upon him, the spirit of wisdom and understanding, the spirit of counsel and might, the spirit of knowledge and of the fear of Yah.
So he had all 7 spirits. This is speaking of Yahshua. Go ahead.
And shall make him of quick understanding in the fear of Yahweh, and he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears.
And when you go back to the situations that happened with Yahshua, when they said, we brought this woman caught in the act of adultery, did he judge by the hearing of his ears? Ha! He was dealing with situation after situation. Sometimes people walk up to him, he just kept playing in the dirt. He didn't come with this mess. He judged righteously. And he started dealing with all of the people who brought the woman that they said they caught in the very act of adultery. They said the very act. She was in the midst of being adulterated. Yet there was no man there. Well, was she adulterating herself? How can she be there without him? There's something already wrong with that judgment. Where is he? Righteous judgment. Yahshua dealing with righteous judgment, not after the hearing of his ears. See, that's what get us. Somebody go to talking, and we gone. Did you check on anything before you got on I-40 and went north? Did you check on anything? No, we just got on I-40 because we heard and it sounded like it was true. We caught this woman in the very act, and we got more than 2 witnesses. Pay attention. We, not I, not me, we. See, we got more than 2 established individuals. Established people are too. So you need to just believe us, because it's more than us, and it's just her. We caught her in the very act. And as he got through dealing with them, one by one, he convicted their heart. Pow, pow. And they start leaving, one by one. There ain't nothing left but the woman. Woman, where are your accusers? I see none. Go and sin no more. He didn't say she ain't do it. He didn't say she ain't do it. He didn't say, woman, I find you innocent of adulting. That's not what he said. He said something wrong with this judgment. And when something wrong with the judgment, something wrong with the whole process. Won't they free you in this land if they don't read you your rights? Mm-hmm. Even if you did do it? Right. That sure says something wrong with their trial. Your trial ain't right. I ain't saying you ain't do it. But what to do with it? And if these people here that's bringing forth this trial, they seem to do something wrong with this trial. Because according to that book, when somebody commit adultery, both of them supposed to die. But we just gonna kill the woman here? He said something wrong with their trial. And because the trial wasn't right, let her go home. Do you know enough to know when a trial is not right? This your book. Do you know enough to know that's not being done right? Or do you just guess and suppose about what you think, feel, and believe? You might want to find out because your salvation and your life might depend on it. Go ahead.
Verse 4. But with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth. And he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked.
Right. The very word that he has already spoken and it's written down. So when he speak that word, it's going to cause righteous judgment to happen. Go ahead.
And righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and faithfulness the girdle of his reins. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. And the cow and the bear shall feed, their young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox. And the sucking child shall play on the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice's den. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of Yahweh, as the waters cover the sea.
Right. So when we start talking about the redemption of the children of Israel, there's certain things that go hand in hand. And we don't see any peace in Israel. Even with all of the stuff that's going on right now between America and Iran. The last threat that the Iranians said was, hey, if they keep messing with us, we're going to hurt that place they love. And we all know where it's at. They were talking about Israel. But keep in mind now, it was from that same region that that man said the Jews left here black and returned white. That was an Iranian too. Now, you got, who's that? Iran and somebody else talking about they willing to give black Americans reparations. Understand that they got big money. That oil money run deep. So understand, all this is coming from the same region, and you kind of forget what the fight is about because the Jewish controlled media are not going to let us hear certain things. That's why I keep telling people, you might want to go on Al Jazeera and catch sent a link that you can get Al Jazeera off YouTube. Oh, they had to hurry up and get them off the stations here. Because they was openly putting out some things that the Jewish controlled media will not allow on television. See, we always mad at the wrong people. See, we see the black guy zoomed in, or the woman stole from Walmart and she got it's 55 inches of flat screen television of her face. Because she stole a DVD player? Well, how's that news, eh? And then we get mad at Gentiles for that. The Gentile don't own that station. The Gentile just a man reporting. It's a Jewish guy behind him that told him this is the story. No, but 8 people got shot here. Yeah, I know, but we're not going to do that story. We're going to do this one right here because DVDs in Walmart are real serious. So do that. What? But there was 8 people done. Yeah, but that's not really news because it was white people shooting white people. Nobody want to see that. But this is a black guy that stole DVDs in Walmart. This needs to be dealt with. Right. That's who you're supposed to be angry at. That's the guy you're never going to see. He's behind the scene telling the reporter what to say. The reporter is not your problem. It's the guy behind him telling him what story he's going to report on. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 10. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Adonai shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar,
Babel,
and from Haman, and from the islands of the sea.
So Israel is coming from all these places. Yet people just told us that those Jews came from Germany. But Israel is supposed to come from all these places. Something wrong. Go ahead.
And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcast of Israel.
Do you know that the world looks at you as an outcast? Go ahead.
And gather together the dispersed of Yehudah from the four corners of the earth. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Yehudah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Yehudah, and Yehudah shall not vex Ephraim. But they shall fly up on the shoulders of the Philistines toward the west. They shall spoil them of the east together. They shall lay their hand upon Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall obey them.
Now, remember what we read, I think it was last week. It says, Moab, hide my outcast with you. You got to start, at some point, you got to start remembering some of these things and start clicking them together. And then you see, all of a sudden, these same people from the same region offering you reparations because they are feeling your pain, and they also got a real problem with the people who holding you captive. A lot of things start working hand in hand. You got to start connecting these dots, little by little. Start connecting these dots. Because it used to be that the rest of the world were completely oblivious to the things that were going on with us. Now, all of a sudden, we have everybody's attention. When you get to the point that Russia focuses on you to mess up their election, the world's starting to see a secret. That's two major countries way outside of this region whose eyes are on the things that are being done to you. Now, you've been talking to these folks, trying to explain to them about the hardships that we suffer here. You know, man, come on, nobody want to hear that. That's old news. Y'all getting shot because you keep resisting arrest. That's why you're getting shot. He said, you know, give me your license and your registration. Y'all didn't do it. Yeah, because he told me to keep my hand on the steering wheel and get him my license. How do I do that? Show me your license. I'm going to shoot you, boy. Wait a minute, man. I'm going to get it. How is that possible? I'm going to get it with my mouth. So we've been talking to them. They're not hearing us. So how are people all outside of this country hearing and knowing what's happening unto us, and they're paying attention? Oh yeah, there's some writing that's starting to be put on the wall. Go ahead, bro.
And Yahweh shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea, and with his mighty wind shall he shake his hand over the river, and shall smite it in the seven streams, and make men go over dry shod. And there shall be an highway for the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, like as it was to Israel in the day that he came up out of the land of Egypt. And in that day you shall say, O Yahweh, I will praise you. Though you was angry with me, your anger is turned away, and you comfortest me. Behold, Elohim is my salvation. I will trust and not be afraid. For Yahweh Elohim is my strength and my song. He also is become my salvation. Therefore with joy shall you draw water out of the wells of salvation. And in that day shall you say, Hallelujah. Call upon his name, declare his doing among the people. Make mention that his name is exalted. Sing unto Yahweh, for he has done excellent things. This is known in all the earth.
Right. When we talk about sing unto Yahweh, for he has done excellent things, in other places they told us that his name was too holy to say. This word says we're supposed to exalt the name of Yahweh. How you do that without saying it? Go ahead.
Cry out and shout, you inhabitant of Zion, for great is the Holy One of Israel in the midst of you.
All right. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 45. Isaiah chapter 45, and let's read verses 14 through 25.
Verse 14. Thus says Yahweh, the labor of Egypt and merchandise of Ethiopia and of the Sabaeans, men of stature, shall come over unto you, and they shall be yours.
They shall be yours. Go ahead.
They shall come after you. In chains they shall come over, and they shall fall down unto you. They shall make supplication unto you, saying, surely Elohim is in you, and there's none else, there's no Elohim.
Right. So you have, first of all, these people that are calling themselves Egyptians, and they're not Egyptians. They're just people who have gotten that land now. And you have several things that have taken place, but Yahweh is going to restore some things from old that the children of Israel have been ruled over with rigor. This is all the power that he's putting in Israel's hand. This is why nobody wants that to be you. Because see, the rest of the world remember what they've done to you. And it bothers them that you may be in control. Because in the back of their mind, they're worried if you're going to retaliate against them. The word says vengeance belongs to Yahweh. Let Yahweh do his job. But they believe that if they can keep you out of that spot, then no retribution will ever come unto those who have done Israel wrong. And they are sadly mistaken. Because Yahweh going to take care of his business. And he doesn't use the people who were done wrong to do it. See, this country here, because they have lived so deliciously for so long, they have actually forgotten that they were the have-nots of Europe. See, ain't no Newcastles in Europe. So all of the people who have lived deliciously here for so long do understand that it's fall. They're going back to Europe. But they're going to be the new niggas. So, just like they told us that we were here, guess what they return? They hate the whole American thought process. Even though Europe and America like this, them Yankees don't listen to nobody and they won't follow anything. Well, they got to go back. And when they go back, they gonna end up being the niggas of Europe. They gonna take care of their own thing now. We ain't gotta do nothing with that. Because they gonna know who has upset the earth with all of the stuff that they've done. You think about what they have as a view of American is Donald Trump. Do you understand what them people say? Boy, Corley, I can't wait till somebody kills him. They are fed up with this cat. And now they finna get a whole bunch of those? What you think they gonna do? Because understand, there's an enormous amount of people that voted for that man. This is the kind of man that they wanted. So what you think they're going to do when they see that many of them coming? See, it's real easy to speak against the whole immigrant thing when you are in control of the land. They're going to have to feel that because when they go back to Europe, those people are going to tell them, look at these immigrants. Uh-oh. You have done all that, and now it's going to return unto you. Because they've been gone so long. They're going to be the immigrants of Europe. And then they're going to feel everything that they've done to everybody else. Don't worry, Yahweh going to take care of his business. You stop trying to do Yahweh's job. You are not, first of all, you ain't qualified, you ain't equipped. Let him do his job. Go ahead.
Verse 15. Verily you are Elohim. Verily you are a Elohim that hides yourself, O Elohim of Israel, the Savior.
Now you understand why people will say, no, we going with you. We ain't going back over there. No, we rather go with you. We heard that Elohim is with you. We ain't going over there. We already know that's finna be ugly. And that's gonna be a change in itself. When people following us, trying to go with us, they normally we move in the neighborhood, they move out. They're gonna be at the point they want to know how many black people in the neighborhood. All of them. Can I move in, please? Wait a minute, no, folks be trying to move out. No, I want to move with them. You see, that means Yahweh gonna be walking around that neighborhood, right? Go ahead, bro.
They shall be ashamed and also confounded, all of them. They shall go to confusion together that are makers of idols. But Israel shall be saved in Yahweh with an everlasting salvation. You shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end. For thus says Yahweh that created the heavens, Elohim himself that formed the earth and made it. He has established it. He created it not in vain. He formed it to be inhabited. I am Yahweh, and there is none else. I have not spoken in secret in a dark place of the earth. I said not unto the seed of Jacob, seek you me in vain. I, Yahweh, speak righteousness. I declare things that are right. Assemble yourselves and come. Draw near together, you that are escaped of the nations. They have no knowledge that set up the wood of their graven image, and pray unto a God that cannot save. Tell you, and bring them near. Yes, let them take counsel together. Who has declared this from ancient time? Who has told it from that time? Have not I, Yahweh? And there is no Elohim else beside me, a just Elohim and Savior. There's none beside me. Look on to me, and be you saved, all the ends of the earth. For I am Elohim, and there's none else. I have sworn by myself, the word is gone out of my mouth in righteousness, and shall not return, that unto me every knee shall bow, every tongue shall swear. Surely shall one say, in Yahweh have I righteousness and strength. Even to him shall men come, and all that are incensed against him shall be ashamed. In Yahweh shall all the seed of Israel be justified, and shall glory.
All right, let's go to Isaiah chapter 49. Isaiah 49, and let's read verses 1 through 26.
Listen, O isles, unto me, and hearken, you people from far. Yahweh has called me from the womb, from the bowels of my mother. Has he made mention of my name?
Check this out. Yahweh has called me from the womb. From the bowels of my mother has he made mention of my name. Yahweh knew you before you knew you. There are some people that were born and ordained for a particular purpose. That means as you was created, something else was created for you. Now, don't think that everything that was created for you just make you feel happy and gleeful all day. There are certain things that Yahweh created just for you, and it vexes the hell out of you almost 2 days out of 5. Why? Because he said that's the only way you're going to do what you're supposed to do. This is going to help you meet the obligations that I created you for. I made mention of you from your mother's womb. And this nice little vexation that I got right here is going to help you do that job. Every time you get slapped, that vexation is going to be breathing hot and heavy down your neck. I made this specifically for you. I made it. It is absolutely crazy in the same ways that you crazy. No matter how psychotic you get, they can deal with it because they psychotic too. I made this for you. Here. From the womb, I knew you. And I got something for you. Go ahead.
And he has made my mouth like a sharp sword in the shadow of his hand. And he hid me, and made me a polished shaft. In his quiver has he hid me.
He has made my mouth like a sharp sword. So this word is going to proceed out of his mouth and go to cutting up people and hurting their feelings. Yeah, you had that gift before you were born. And I got a nice little crazy counterpart for you that's got the same gift. Just as crazy you are. Mouth just as sharp. Yeah. Help you polish your shaft. You go out, you're going to be ready. Well, I've been practicing all day. I'm good with this thing. Right. Go ahead.
And said unto me, You are my servant, O Israel, in whom I will be glorified.
Uh-huh.
Then I said, I have labored in vain, I have spent my strength for naught, and in vain. Yet surely my judgment is with Yahweh, and my work with my Elohim. And now, says Yahweh that formed me from the womb, to be his servant, to bring Jacob again to him. Though Israel be not gathered, yet shall I be glorious in the eyes of Yahweh, and my Elohim shall be my strength.
And now, verse 5, and now says Yahweh that formed me from the womb to be his servant, to bring Jacob again to him. This is his job. But understand, though Israel be not gathered, yet shall I be glorious in the eyes of Yahweh. Because I got to do my part of the job. The job doesn't have to be complete for me to be looked at as glorious in Yahweh's eyes. I do my part of the job. Do you understand what your part of the job is? Understand, he told Moshe, go in there and talk to this man and get him to release my people. But he ain't going to do it. Wait a minute, you causing me to fail already. You don't understand the job. The job is to bring forth the judgment, not to let go the people. I can get the people to be let go at any time. He going to let go the people when I get through spanking him. Now, I'm not going to let him repent because what he's trying to do now is get out of the spanking. So every time you say something to him, I'm going to harden his heart so I can spank him again. But you got to know in your head, you are not a failure. This is about me getting my glory. Don't get it twisted who's working for who. This ain't about you being able to say that you accomplished such and such. Just do the job that I sent you to do. Go ahead.
And he said, It is a light thing that you should be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob, and to restore the preserved of Israel. I will also give you for a light to the Gentiles, that you may be my salvation unto the end of the earth. Thus says Yahweh, the Redeemer of Israel, and his Holy One, to him whom man despise, to him whom the nation abhors, to a servant of rulers. Kings shall see and arise, princes also shall worship, because of Yahweh that is faithful, and the Holy One of Israel, and he shall choose you.
Right. I will also give you for a light to the Gentiles, that you may be my salvation unto the end of the earth. This is going to encourage the Euro Gentiles to come and be a part of the things concerning Israel. So this is just not about Israel alone. Remember, there was a mixed multitude that followed Israel out of Egypt. But they followed just to get away from the rulership of Egypt. These Gentiles will be following because they understand and want to be a part of a righteous governmental system. And we will have to deal with them as brothers and sisters. And in the beginning, Yahweh had already said that. You do not vex a stranger. Y'all ever notice that anybody can move in our neighborhood? It's just us in general. You go amongst our neighborhood, you might find 2 Gentiles, you might find a Mexican, you might find this, you might find anybody stuck in our neighborhood. We won't be over there messing with them people. Be the first one to move in some of these Gentile neighborhoods, and you about to get a surprise. You about to get a surprise. They all had a meeting to talk about you. You see this Pookie Johnson guys move in here, Cadillac and the big old rims. You're going to talk about that right there. Oh, they have a meeting when you come in. Day one, they're already talking about you. We don't do that to people. All manner of people. I had a white guy tell me, man, I've been living amongst blacks all my life. It was one of the saddest things that I had seen that week. It was an older guy who was autistic. And he said everybody made fun of him when he was younger. And he said, black people were the only people that made me feel welcome. He said, so I lived among black people my whole life. Right in the middle of the hood. You know, I wasn't expecting this white guy to come out. He said they didn't mess with me. And it is a complete testament to how we are. Because other people saw him and saw something wrong with him. They messed with him. We didn't. Man, this man almost had me crying up, and I'm like, man, I'm supposed to be working on this thing, man. I'm getting misty in here. You're going to ruin my reputation. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 8. Thus says Yahweh, in an acceptable time have I heard you, and in a day of salvation have I helped you, and I will preserve you, and give you for a covenant of the people, to establish the earth, to cause to inherit the desolate heritage. That you may say to the prisoners, go forth, to them that are in darkness, show yourselves. They shall feed in the waves, and their pastures shall be in all high places. They shall not hunger nor thirst, neither shall the heat nor sun smite them. For he that has mercy on them shall lead them, even by the springs of water shall he guide them. And I'll make all my mountains a way, and my highways shall be exalted. Behold, these shall come from far, and, lo, these from the north and from the west, and these from the land of Sinim. Sing, O heavens, and be joyful, O earth, and break forth into singing, O mountains. For Yahweh has comforted his people, and will have mercy upon his afflicted. But Zion said, Yahweh has forsaken me. My Adonai has forgotten me.
And you can see how it would be easy for the children of Israel to believe that. When you talk about 2,000 years since Yahshua has come, it's easy for the children of Israel to believe that Yahweh has forsaken us. He don't remember us. Because we think that's a long time. That's just a nap for Yahweh. I ain't did nothing but nap. What's wrong with y'all? It's been 2,000 years. I just blinked four times. What? That wasn't no time. Seemed like a long time to us. But you got to think about that whole longevity of time. We had life of some that were living 900 years. The little bit of time that we got here, we don't even see that as a grace that Yahweh has stepped down that time. So the little bit of time that we suffer, man, that ain't no time. When you consider that we're supposed to live at least 1,000. What's 50 years? We think we done something. I'm 50 years old. This is badge of honor. I'm an elder. They're like, man, you a baby. You just got out of pull-ups. You're 50 years old. What is that? That ain't nothing to 1,000. Go ahead, bro.
Can a woman forget her sucking child, that she should not have compassion on the son of her womb? Yea, they may forget, yet I will never forget you. Behold, I have graven you upon the palms of my hands. Your walls are continually before me.
Right, I don't want to hear nobody tell me, see, Yahweh got a tattoo. See, what he did, he drew it. Stop. Don't do it. We trying to find a way where it's okay for us to, get a tattoo. I get all kind of emails. Stop it. Don't do it. Go ahead, bro.
Your children shall make haste, your destroyers, and they that made you, waste shall go forth of you. Lift up your eyes round about, and behold, all these gather themselves together, and come to you. As I live, says Yahweh, you shall surely clothe you with them all, as with an ornament, and bind them on you as a bride does. For your waste and your desolate places, and the land of your destruction, shall even now be too narrow by reason of the inhabitants, and they that swallowed you up shall be far away. The children which you shall have, after you have lost the other, shall say again in your ears, this place is too strait for me. Give place to me that I may dwell.
Verse 20, the children which you shall have, after you have lost the other. You have to consider, Yahweh is going to have to put some families together. We think that Yahweh is if he wants this child, that he's going to have to bring this family. No. Yahweh kill off everybody in the family, bring that child, and then get that child to somebody else. when you deal with who Yahshua was and deal with yourself, by all practical purposes, he a stepdaddy. He had him raise a child that he did not father. What you think Yahweh gonna do concerning this kingdom? What do you think it's talking about when it said 7 women gonna grab hold to one man? Them women coming with their children. And Yahweh getting rid of certain people and putting them in somebody else's house. All right, you raise that child. You raise them 3 right there. You raise those. Those are forever yours from here going out. Yahweh don't have to keep you because he want the kid. He will offer you at the gate. And that kid will walk right through them gates. Now you raise that boy right there. It don't mean nothing to Yahweh. He created all flesh. He don't need you. Go ahead, bro.
Then shall you say in your heart, who has begotten these, seeing I have lost my children, and am desolate, a captive, and removing to and fro.
Right. And by the same token, there's some that may think that they entering in without children. And Yahweh like, I already got a few waiting on you. Yeah, but I'm trying to have kids. Yeah. I got to come. Your house finna be so full of children. Just wait. I got some, because I'm finna kill off this whole family. And then I'm finna give you their children. Yeah, but I'm trying to have my own. Yeah. I know you about to have your own, all from these ones that I'm finna give you. See, things work according to Yahweh's purpose, not yours. Go ahead.
And, even with that, he did that setup from in the beginning when you were talking about having mercy on the fatherless and the widow.
Right.
Because now you reach to this situation and you don't have no mercy, you're going to get cut off.
Oh, it's going to be some serious problems. And then he's going to take care of that fatherless and widow because it's going to be in his kingdom. Ain't going to be none. Ain't going to be no fatherless. Wait, we got to find you a daddy, boy. Yeah, you can't be running around here. Somebody got to show you how to be a man. That mama's boy thing ain't going to work in the kingdom. That's that stuff y'all did over there in Babylon. Now, somebody got to come and take responsibility for this boy. See, people tell you, I was raised in a single-parent household, and I turned out fine. We think just because we ain't dead that we fine. I turned out fine. I mean, I ain't dead. But that don't mean I'm right. That was not the desired effect the way that Yahweh designed that. Okay? Yahweh gonna take care of his business. Go ahead, bro.
A captive and removing to and fro. And who has brought up these? Behold, I was left alone. These, where had they been? Thus says the Adonai Elohim, behold, I will lift up mine hand to the Gentiles, and set up my standard to the people, and they shall bring your sons in their arms, and your daughters shall be carried upon their shoulders.
Right. You got to consider, have you ever paid attention to how many celebrities are adopting black children? But the irony is, we are the last one to adopt black children. Yet we look up, and all these Gentiles have a house full of black kids. And we got money, and we're not helping any of them. I'm talking about, we got celebrities that are loaded. We look up, and it's Gentiles who adopting all these kids. These are kids that are ordinarily are not going to have anywhere else to go. But we get rich, we're not going to get them. But then we got a problem when they go get them.
I can't stand that. Look at that. Black kids in that White House. Look at that.
Okay, so how many kids in your house?
Oh, well, none.
Well, shut up then. Read, man.
And kings shall be your nursing fathers, and their queens your nursing mothers. They shall bow down to you with their face toward the earth, and lick up the dust of your feet. And you shall know that I am Yahweh. For they shall not be ashamed that wait for me. Shall the prey be taken from the mighty, or the lawful captive delivered? But thus says Yahweh, even the captives of the mighty shall be taken away, and the prey of the terrible shall be delivered. For I'll contend with him that contendeth with you, and I'll save your children.
Right. Even the captives of the mighty shall be taken away. No matter how strong that nation is, they're going to give you up. Because Yahweh said, I want my sons and my daughters. Give them to me. They're going to give you up. Now, one way or another, it ain't going to be pretty. Because no matter what those nations have said, you equal commerce. And at the end of the day, it is all about the money that is being generated. People can say whatever they want to say. They need that commerce. Go ahead.
And I'll feed them that oppress you with their own flesh, and they shall be drunken with their own blood, as with sweet wine. And all flesh shall know that I, Yahweh, am your Savior and your Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob.
All right, let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 16. Jeremiah chapter 16. Jeremiah 16, and we're going to read verses 14 through 21. Man, ain't it January? Why is it hot in here? Man, you can't tell what's supposed to be going on. And this place crazy.
That's above my pay grade.
You know what I'm saying? It's 1 minute, it's 70 degrees. You don't know how to dress around here. It dropped from 70 to 32. It probably gonna be snowing in 2 days. And then we're gonna get caught outside with a tank top on, right? Jeremiah 16 and verse 14.
Therefore, behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that it shall no more be said, Yahweh lives, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But Yahweh lives, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, and from all the lands where he had driven them.
Right. And no other nation, and especially the people who are in the land calling themselves Israel, they can't present a situation whereby they have undergone this, where the children of Israel have come out of multiple areas all at one time. That little farce of what they're calling coming from Germany is a joke. Yahweh said the children of Israel are going to be coming from all these different directions at the same time. And you got to think about it. When you start talking about coming out of country after country after country, that means he has to orchestrate situations in more than one country at the same time. And it's not going to be the same situation. There'll be a problem over here in this country, problem over here in that country, problem over here in this country that's pushing the children of Israel in the same direction. But it ain't the same problem. No other nation of people can even present such a thing that it has happened. Yet the whole world believes that Israel returned in 1948. But we're talking about a trip from one place. It doesn't fit anything in this book. It doesn't fit any of the righteous judgment and the hell that the earth was supposed to go through when the children of Israel were placed back in their land. So that means all of these events are yet to come. But it's glorious things that Yahweh has in store for the children of Israel. He loves Zion. He says, I have a great jealousy for Zion. And he is going to redeem his people. No matter who he's got to go through to do it. And I do mean go through. Go ahead.
And I'll bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers. Behold, I will send for many fishers, says Yahweh, and they shall fish them.
Now, you don't have to do that if they all coming out of the same place. I got to send for fishers. Because see, you got to go, and here's the problem. Israel has been separated from the commonwealth of even understanding who they are. That Yahweh has to convince them that they are Israel. Now that, my friend, is a hunter and a fisher. Because you got to, before you even get Israel to a point where they can accept some things, you got to first get them to accept that they're Israel. Oh, that's a fight in itself. Because we have been taught that none of that matters. So he's got to send people to explain to them who they are. Go ahead.
And after will I send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain and from every hill, and out of the holes of the rocks. For mine eyes are upon all their ways. They're not hid from my face, neither is their lawlessness hid from mine eyes. And first I will recompense their lawlessness and their sin double.
Right, because you are the firstborn of all of the families of the earth. So what happens? The firstborn get a double portion. Uh-oh. There's a double portion of whooping. Yes, double portion of that too. You get a double portion of the blessing. Guess what else you got to get? Go ahead.
Because they have defiled my land. They have filled mine inheritance with the carcasses of their detestable and abominable things.
And the key word there is inheritance. Firstborn. Inheritance. I'm going to punish them for their sin double. But you are the firstborn sons and daughters of the earth. Why? Because Yahweh chose you. Everything else, according, not about who's was first born on the earth. No. Firstborn sons, something altogether different. See, you got Ishmael, that was the firstborn natural son. You got Esaac, firstborn spiritual son. Understand? Go ahead.
O Yahweh, my strength and my fortress, and my refuge in the day of affliction. The Gentiles shall come on to you from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies.
Surely our fathers have inherited lies. You know how many things are going to have to happen before the Gentiles admit that they have inherited lies? We can show things. They have the effects and things of slavery written down, and they will not accept them. And they the one that wrote it down. Wait a minute, ain't that your handwriting? Didn't you write that there were too many on the ship, so you threw them overboard? Because we didn't write this. We was in chains, remember? So we couldn't have wrote it. You wrote it.
I will not accept it.
You wrote it. How you gonna not accept what you wrote? You wrote that you left the place with 2,000 stuck in the boat, and you got here with 988. You wrote, I couldn't have wrote it. I was in chains. How you gonna not accept it? You know how much gotta happen? If people want to accept what's in their own handwriting, do you understand what all is going to have to take place for them to say our fathers have inherited lies? You need to start getting your bonuses in order, because it's about to get interesting. Because you know the hardest thing for anybody to do is to admit wrongdoing. We know how hard it is for us to admit wrongdoing. We'll get caught with our whole arm in the cookie jar. I mean, you can barely see, you can't even see the wrists. I mean, ain't nothing but the elbow hanging out. What you doing? I wasn't doing nothing. Your whole arm is in this cookie jar. Are you really telling me you haven't done anything? And we were straight faced. Right. So how hard you gonna think it's gonna be for those people? You know how hard it is for you? All right then. It's gonna be difficult for them too. Go ahead.
Surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit. Shall a man make gods unto himself and say, shall a man make gods unto himself, and they are no gods? Therefore, behold, I will this once cause them to know. I will cause them to know mine hand and my might, and they shall know that my name is Yahweh.
They will know that I am not the Lord. I am not God. No matter how hard you say God, it still ain't me. They will know that I am Yahweh. They will know to call me by my name. They will exalt my name. They will worship, serve, and praise me by my name. You got to think about how deep that confusion is that people will turn around and say the Lord, and then in the same worship practice, somebody on the other side of the room screaming, hallelujah. Wait a minute. They just said their name. But no one will acknowledge that that's his name. But they all in the same room. So this so-called God is getting all the credit for the things that Yahweh has done. Yahweh said he ain't giving away his glory unto another. So the children of Israel are going to have to learn to give honor where it's due, and that is in the holy name of Yahweh. But then he's got to convince the people that they are Israel. That's why our job come in. As we go about doing, you ain't got to try to pretend to be a priest or do that. All you need to do is explain to those people who they are. Do the part of the job that you can do. Are we doing our part to bring forth the kingdom of Yahweh our Elohim? Ultimately, that may not come to that person till 5 years down the road. That's not your job. See, we count our job by how many people we see and do. You don't know whose heart is working on them. And it might take them 5 years before they do anything about it. It's not your job. Did you tell them? All right, you did your job. Move on to the next one. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.